welcome to Flory Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got, yes it's here at last, this is Hobby Boss's brand new tooled Su-34 Fullback. Now let's face it, we've been wanting a big version of this pretty much since the dawn of time. Italeri did a 72nd version, there's a couple other flavours floating around, Tamiya did a rebox of it, things like that. But for 48, the only way you could really do it is take the Academy one, the Su-27, and put the conversion kit on it. Very expensive and not an easy conversion to do at all. So we've been really hankering for one of these for quite a long time. Hobby Boss said they were doing it. We all got really excited. Then obviously all the rivet counters came out and said about the nose is the wrong shape and it's this wrong with it, even before it even hit the shelves. Then we all got the news that actually it's 110 quid or pounds. £110, that is a lot of money for a 1/48 scale kit. We've suddenly reached this bar where that's the price of 1/32 good quality kit. We're talking Tamiya, F16s, things like that. That's sort of their type of price and all the rest of it. This isn't Tamiya. And also it's a 1/48 scale aircraft, not a 1/32. Now this is a big jet, don't get me wrong. The Sukhoi family, as we know, the 27s, 34s, 33s, things like that, they are big aircraft. Okay, so there is a lot of plastic involved with it, but it just does seem a lot of money to do this. Now, as you know, I always pay for all my own kits, so we went out and we bought this one as soon as it was available. And to be honest, it's sat here for the last 3 weeks because this was the earliest I've got around to reviewing it. In that time, I've heard a lot about this kit, and as you know, I hate to look at reviews because all too often what tends to go on is that people go on, they see a review, they see a negative comment on it, that stays in your mind. When you review it, you use that negative comment to go in there. It could be wrong. You could be a little bit of a sheep and just following what's going on here. So I've deliberately not looked, read, or even spoken to anybody who has actually built this kit or reviewed this kit or anything else like that, purely because I want to keep a very much an open mind to it to see exactly what's going on in the box. Now the biggest thing you can see is it's a big box. It's a big aircraft, we know, but let's face it, it's not massively bigger than the Su-27 that we've reviewed recently. But it is a lot bigger. This box is a lot thicker, it weighs a lot more as well, and as you can see the box size is probably, I'm looking at it over there, it's probably a third larger than the Su-27. So what we're thinking, maybe it's stuffed full of weapons, perhaps that's where the extra cost is coming in and things like that. But generally, as you can see, this is going to be too big, I think, to even show on the overhead camera for the walk around, but we'll try our best. So generally, as we can see, there is the kit. Very nice box art on the front, as you can see down there. It does have a few bits about the measurements up here. So it is saying it's going to be basically 46 centimeters long with a wingspan of 310. So it's going to be a large lump. There is some of your information about it. Looks like we do get a little bit of photo etch, which is quite nice. Obviously decals and some of the markings we can expect down here. The usual thing we've got, so I've got to get this in. We've got various bits and pieces all down there about the actual thing itself. All right. Then down here you've got this guy. So I'm going to have to stand up to even get this in. Your kit number for this one is 81756. Okay. And then on the other side we've got the other marking, which has sort of got this duck egg, eggplant grey purpley colour down there with the blue underside. And down here, as you might expect, we do get a full range of weapons, which, you know, love them or hate them. Some of them you're going to use, some of them you're not, but let's face it, at the end of the day, we're all paying for it because this is a large kit. So the box itself, very nice, very strong, very sturdy, we'd expect. And a bit like the flanker family, we're looking at it straight here. We have got a situation where we've got it, wow, nicely laid out. These cardboard system are doing this. We just pop this guy out, as we can see, down here like this. It's quite nice, it keeps it flat, stops it getting rubbed around, because you can see underneath some of the bags down in here, if it was just to be sat on there, it's going to make some movement and everything else. But generally, not too bad. That's quite nice. We'll prise that off in a moment. We've got another big box here. No, it's not a big box. It feels like a big box because of that there. Okay, so we've got things in there, and we're imagining we've got, as we can see, we've got weapons, various things down here in that one, which is fair enough. Okay, and then we've got another box. No, we don't. Okay, so we have some packaging, but that's useless. Okay, and obviously we've got a very nice set of instructions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it down to my side and we'll go through them. Okay, so first up we got the instructions. Okay, so normal thing, we got the actual call out for the sprues, usual bits and pieces down here. Looks like we've got lots of weapon sprues. Obviously we've got metal inserts for the gear, and then obviously the photo etch and decal. So right the way in, usual thing, starting off with the cockpit tub. Seats going together, don't look too bad, okay. A little bit of photo etch work going down in there, as we can see, bending that one round, putting in the control pedals, the actual control stick, the ejector seat bracings out of the back, and then we've actually got the full cockpit going together. Now it looks like we've got an opening and closing door. It'll be interesting to see if we've actually got the actual rear bulkhead to this one as well. Instrument panel being fitted on there, side consoles, things like that, pretty straightforward. Seats being down and fitted into those. Then we're into the nose wheel bay. So we've got nice little activators going down in there. Looks like quite nice detail down in there. It's quite a large nose wheel on this one. It's tandem wheel, okay. And then we're putting in the side plates onto this one as it goes through and in. And it looks like we've got the main gear wells as well being fitted in. Again, nice little detail with the twin little humps, because obviously it's got twin wheels on the rear as well. Usual thing for the Sukhoi family, flipping it over and putting that into a tub into there. Instrument combing in the top, and then on the lower half we've got the wheel well system going down in there, and then we've actually got the one for the main gear being fitted in as well. Okay, so that's those in just like that. Then flipping it back over, again a little bit of photo etch being used there for the heads up display, fitting that into there, and then gun being placed in there. A few little points just going in on the top. Obviously it's a non-opening canopy, so you can put that down, fit it in one, and away you go. Okay, back end engines, so we've got the actual nozzles, full length, right up to the actual afterburner ring system being put in there, which is a nice touch. This rear tail section being in, a couple of scoops being fitted to the actual tops of the engines, and then it's into the tailplanes. And these are nice because these are actually full side-on ones. Instead of having a nasty seam line like we've seen traditionally, these are just going to slab right in at the side. Looks like we've got positionable rudders and some details for some sensors going on the back of the fins. Slats going into the front, these little canard winglets on the front as well being fitted to it, some fences on the wings, and then we've got the sort of flapper-on system that the actual flanker family have being fitted to the back as standard. The tailplanes themselves, looks like we've got a nice big posable little bracket down there, looks quite strong as well, so that'll be fitted in to actually make the tailplane so you can have them in the powered down, droop down position, or up. Standard to the rest of the flanker family, this intake system where you have obviously the two sides, the floor section into it, and then this lump up here which actually holds onto the gear. Okay, looks like we've got a type of blow-in doors being fitted on the side, but it looks like we've got no area of actually bringing down the doors, the gates, to close off the actual intakes down in there. But again, same for the other side. Over, fitting them on, dropping them straight down, and looks like we've got the first parts of the actual main undercarriage legs being fitted into those wheel wells. Then it's into the nose wheel section going down in there. We've got these rubber tyres, so they're hubbed separately, boarding ladder being fitted in, and then obviously we've got the actual FOD deflector at the back of the mudguard system. Then again on the nose wheel we've got the same thing, so you've got that metal core bracing going in and this tandem wheel sets going through with the hubs, and again making two pairs for those. Fitting those, dropping them straight in, a couple of little activators for it, but no problem there. And then we've got the strengthening bar which goes from these lumps that we saw on the actual intake side. Those are being fitted across, so it's like a sway brace being put on there. Okay, then flip side, over on that one we've got a situation where you've actually got this sensor. Looks like we've got it sort of open and closed on this one. It's going to fit down underneath the actual wheel well behind the main wheel well itself, so it's like looks like a track and scan sensor system being put in down on there, and then the gear doors being fitted on. Over, pitot tubes being fitted on there. Then we've got an in-flight refueling probe, obviously you can have that open or closed, and a few more angle of attack sensors, pitot tubes, things like that being fitted down on there. And then we're starting to get into the weapon fit, so we've got pylons going on, centre pylons, and all the areas like that, and then we've got these big jammer pods being fitted to the outside, these giant fuel tanks, and then myriad of R-73s, R-77s, missiles being fitted down on this one, R-27s, so we've got the radar and the infrared versions of those. And then down for guided missile side of it, we've got various guided missiles being fitted in. We've got MEAs, TIAs, triple ejector racks, dual ejector racks, multiple ejector racks, you name it, right the way through. And then we've got these other weapons being fitted down onto this one, and then there we go, you are done. So really not much to it. This isn't much more than what we've seen on a standard sort of flanker of the past, so from that point of view, yeah, I don't know, I thought I might be expecting a little bit more. Decal sheets, Down on these, as we can see, pretty standard, as you can see. Down on this one, you might notice that we've actually got here is the instrument panel ones and the side ones. Not much, but to be honest, because of this cockpit system, it doesn't open. It's not like you're looking into an aardvark where they've got the sides up on an F111 and you can look down into the cockpit. You're not going to see much into there, so I'm not that worried about it. Generic decaling, you're not going to be able to read it. It's blurb, as I call it, so it just looks the part. But in this scale, I think that's totally reasonable. So no problem with that. Decals themselves, again, looking at these ones, not too bad at all. These actually are pretty good. Used to be Hobby Boss Trumpeter, they were always a little bit ugh, but now we are really there. They're quite thin, they're very nice. We don't have giant slabs of carrier film around them. They are actually done in, so you've got internals and the big ones on the outside. So actually those are totally usable. No problem with those at all. Good solid colouring as well. There's no graininess to the decals or anything else like that. So that really is nice. We got standard sheet, which is your sort of colour call out sheet and weapons placements for your decals and stuff like that on there for the entire weapons fit. And then we got the same then for the actual colour callouts and decal placements for it. So we've got this three-tone system on here with the two types of blue and the green on there. That sort of early, you know, fullback colour scheme that we were going around in. The more modern one, which I must admit is the one that I do like, is this beautiful sort of eggplant colour, this sort of purple colour on this one with the blue underside. Looks really, really nice. And with the white of the nose, works a treat. And I actually think with the metallizers and things like that, this is going to look absolutely lovely. So if I'm doing this one, which I hope to do in the near future, that's definitely the colour scheme I'll be going for. Again, I'm assuming that this lovely sort of purple colour of this eggplant with a wash onto it will really pop, and obviously you could fade and lighten and do a myriad of different effects with it. So that's all very nice. Okay, now to be honest, as you saw before, it comes on a giant card, this thing, but I've decided to get it off just so I can show you this in a little bit more detail. The big thing you notice immediately with it is that it's very dull. It's very hard to actually see the details purely because of this sort of satin plastic it's got. It's quite a nice hard injection mold. It's not softly injected like some manufacturers. There's no real sink marks to it or anything else like that. We've got the usual you know, culprits down on here, these little ejector pin ones where it goes in, it points into those, it comes out elsewhere. So we're just looking around for them, but generally a couple of swipes of the sanding stick will take care of those. Hopefully you can see it's got some beautiful little details on this. I don't know how well the cameras are going to pick all this up, but they are very, very nice. Very softly moulded. It is that thing where in some ways you think it's very, very soft and you can hardly see it, but you catch it in the light and it does jump out. There's no problem with it at all, okay? Now the nose, we'll talk about it at the end, but it looks all right to me. Okay, I don't think it's that far out. Everyone was saying it's like unbuildable, it's got a terrible nose. The only thing it does have is a slight sink mark just on this corner down on here. I don't know if you can see that too much in there, but it's got a little bit down there. But generally, I have to say, it's very nice. It's clean, it's crisp, it's concise. And on the underside, obviously we've got nothing going down on here at all. But what is nice, you've got good deep sections of this going round. So when you are gluing it together, you've got proper gripping of it. The actual ejector pins on the wings are actually recessed in, so you're not going to worry about them sort of encroaching on each other. The only thing you will have to do is, you might catch it on the wingtip here, is these little guys down in here. These are off of the sprue gates where they've been cut off. Okay, so you're going to need to clean them up. And I know I'm probably teaching you to suck eggs here, but quite frankly, I've missed one in the past and it causes you no end of trouble because of these. This is what this is. So again, looking on the underside, very nice details on these wings. We've got these little injection ports for the gun in. Going to need a sand off. Got one at the front. Again, the nose looks a little bit funny underneath, but I'm sure it's fine. Okay, but generally, I have to say it's very, very nice. There's no problem with it at all. I'm looking for the usual mismolds and panel lines that don't go all the way through, and sometimes these little things you can have blemishes and stuff, but it's actually perfect. Very, very nice indeed. No problem with that whatsoever. That's pretty good. Okay, so over in bag one, or sprue one, we've got this guy just down on here, and as you can see, very nicely done. No problem with this at all. Some nice details. Obviously we've got the internal side for the cockpit, obviously the boarding ladder as it comes up in through the actual nose wheel well. Remember, this thing doesn't come in from the top, you come in from the back, but there is nothing on the blind side of it, which is a bit of a shame. But generally the rest of it is all very nice indeed. There's no flash, no nasties, no sink marks in any of the parts. Really nice indeed. And if we have a quick walk around, you can see generally really nice. No problem with any of these ports or points or anything else. There's no ejector pins in any of the parts which don't need them. Got a few little ones in here. Perhaps on these doors you might just want to perhaps get in here and give them a bit of a rub and a clean up and everything else, just to make sure they're down and flush so you don't get some gaps you don't want. But generally very nice indeed. Okay, so I've already unbagged these just to speed things up. Alright, so what we've got down here is obviously the tailplanes, the various things getting on with it like that. Very nice indeed, no problem with any of these. Beautifully detailed, that lovely sort of riveting detail that they have. Obviously it's two parts down in here, so flipping it over again, you probably just want to give these ejector pins just a little bit of a rub, making sure they're flat, because if they are slightly raised in any way, they do seem to be recessed, but if they are raised, they're going to interfere with your fit. But generally down here you can see we've got this area for the tab where these actual tailplanes are going to fit in. It's good, it's a solid piece of plastic, so that means you're going to have a good range of movement in there without the risk of it just sort of snapping off at some point. So that's very nice indeed. Okay, this is the business end one. So this is the actual intakes. This is where it all slightly differs. We've got some beautiful, hopefully you can see down here, if I revolve it, you can sort of catch it in the light. But this looks a lot nicer than we've seen on the other Sukhoi, on the normal 27. This is totally different in here. So there's a lot more detailed, a lot nicer. Again, now my eyes are adjusting to the flatness or the satinness of this sort of finish of the plastic. You're seeing the details, where before it's quite hard to see them. But generally, like these guys down in here, this actually grille and venting and stuff like that is really very nice. And again, even on the blind side underneath, no problems at all with any of that. That's all very nice. Down here with the actual intakes, we do have one ejector pin, but it's so far back I don't think you'd even see it. And these two down here are definitely not going to see all the way back there, but it wouldn't take much to scrape clean out. They're not massively deep. You know, super glue and a rub, or just scrape them out and you'll be good to go. But generally very nice. They've got the gear legs down on here, the pivot points, the inside of the nose wheel, the details. That's all really nice. Very good. Okay, so we've got the nozzles. Now we get two of these, so I've only got one out, okay? Again, very nice, very thin, this nozzle one over on this side. Very nice to see how good, crisp and thin that is. The afterburner ring is very nicely done. We've got no flash in there or anything else. And obviously the last stage compressor fan at the back, no problem at all. And these inserts, very nice. The only thing you have got is a little bit of burring down in here. Okay, it'd only take a swipe out the sanding stick, but these are going to fit actually into them, so you're not going to have a problem, but it just might foul it a little bit, so you might want to give it a rub. Down here we've got the wheel hubs. So we've got like the main gear and the nose wheel gear. Again, not too bad, totally practical. To be honest, we have got some aftermarket ones for it, but they do look very nice, very practical indeed. Okay, some more of the business parts for all the gear down here. As you say, it has that solid metal core that runs through it, but generally that's all very nice indeed. No problem with that on Sprue H. Tiny little bits of flash, but nothing you would, very little actually. And nothing you would worry about, all easy clean up and everything else. Very nice indeed, no problems. Again, it's very complicated, that gear. It doesn't look it so much in the instructions, but there's a lot of parts for it. We've got the ladder just down in here, and we've got that rear FOD guard for the nose wheel set. That's pretty good. Again, I'm looking to find a fault with the plastic, but I'm really struggling. Okay, so again, this is your slats, leading edge slats. Again, you look at it, it's very hard to see the detail, and then you catch it in the light and it just pops. Absolutely fantastic. Very nice indeed. No problem with that. This is that instrument panel. Again, I probably wouldn't use the decals. You can have it turned off anyway if you're in the power down, so it wouldn't make any difference. Very nice to it. Even the pitot tubes and all the sensors, they're all very nice. Generally, no problem with any of that whatsoever. Main gear wells, doors, sorry. Beautifully done, no ejection pins. Got a slight sink mark just down in here, and there's another one on the other side. but again, I don't think you'd worry about it, or certainly I wouldn't worry about it. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing that can't be handled. And again, we do get, it looks like up here we've got the slats, we've got a different pair, so we're assuming this is your deployed one. You've got a slight extra ridge on it, and then you've got the folded up one as well. Again, we've got a tiny little bit of flash just down on here, but that's nothing that you'd worry about. That'll come out really easy. Very good indeed, that's all very nice. Okay, then we've got the little canards on the front. We've got some little stressed stuff down in here. This is side for the instrument panel, so that's going to be sort of padding. The actual rudders, no problem at all. This dual weapon fit system down on there, great little touch. But these canards, very nicely done. Got little access doors in the middle of them, match pair, nice curves to them. And then down here, obviously, we've got the jammers for the actual wingtips. So you've got your jammer pods on there as well, and the nose gear doors. Really, really nice, very nice. No ejector pins on anywhere you don't want them, so that's absolutely great. Okay, so we also have the box. Now, as you say, I have been in here and deboxed everything just so we can have a look a little bit quicker. So here we've actually got the J, which is the actual seats. As you can see, nothing wrong with these. Very nice indeed. And again, because of the way this doesn't open up, you can't see into it. This is very practical. So you'd probably get away with using these and perhaps putting in some little aftermarket harnesses. But of course, you could obviously go down with a photo etch route if you wanted to. These are the metal core little legs, okay, that go through. There's no detail on these, so this is just to help try and shift some of that weight. And I did have a bend and a play with these earlier. They're really strong. They don't bend. They are absolutely solid, okay. Got little tiny ejector pin marks on them, a little bit of burring work, but as I said, a couple of swipes with a sanding stick. That'll clean those up, no problem at all. Okay, then we've got the clear parts. Again, really nice. We know Hobby Boss are very good at doing, and Trumpeter doing clear parts. Definitely nothing wrong with any of these. Crystal clear, no problem. So obviously we've got all the lights, the actual landing lights, nose wheel lights, navigation lights. We've got the HUD and some weapon ones in there as well. So that's very nice indeed. Over here we've got the tyres. Okay, so I already had the tyres out. Again, rock hard, very, very strong. Different type of rubber, this one. These, I reckon you could sand flat and give them flat spots, which is a little bit different from your standard rubber, but these are almost impossible to crush down. That's pretty much everything to try and squeeze these flat. Okay, so I reckon they would probably sand, and then you can put a flat spot into them, put them down, and they'll be good to go. So you have no problem with those. The photo etch, which to be honest I thought was a lot bigger than that. And you see it on here, and it's a tiny little bit like this, but again, it's practical, it does the job. It's just in the pictures I thought it was bigger. Okay, and then we have the canopy, which again, this doesn't open, so it's just a one-piece canopy, beautifully done as ever by Hobby Boss. We never have a problem with their clear parts, and this is definitely nothing to worry about at all. Very, very nice indeed, no problem with that. Okay, and next up is the weapons. So, with the weapons, to be honest, let's get the box. To put this into perspective, there they all are. Now, to save time, we'll just have a look through them, through the bags, just to speed things up, okay? But generally, we've got your standard sort of weapons fit, as you'd imagine. So you've got your R27s, R73s, all your bits and pieces down in there. Lovely, no problem with that at all. It's your generic Hobby Boss weapon set. So that's the thing with that. So you've got your short range and mediums, missiles down in there. That's pretty much a standard fit. We get two of these lovely giant fuel tanks, which is sort of a staple for the Su-24 and the Su-34 family. Okay, so we've got those. We've also got down on here some more of the standard sort of free-fall bombs, and we've got some Mia's ejector racks down there. So we actually get 4 of these. So you've got a hell of a lot going on down there. So we've got 4 of those like that. We've also got down here these big missiles, which is the ones onto the box art that go down the bottom, the long-range missiles being fitted on there literally just like that. So we've got 2 lots of sprues of those. Okay, and then we have, we work all these out, we've got 2 more long-range missiles down in there. So obviously we're going to get 2 of those. And then these guys, which are slightly different ones. So we've got some, I think these are GBUs, or sort of guided bomb units. Okay, so we've actually got 2 of those. slightly bigger version of it again, so we get 2 of those. Again, beautifully detailed, all of these very nice recessed details on all of them. We get these guys, which are obviously your pylon sets, so we get 4 sprues of those, again pretty straightforward. Alright, and we get another one of these, which is another pair, so another 2 of these balmy type things, not too sure what they are. And obviously we get some more racks, so obviously this is more of the air-to-air racks that are being fitted down underneath the sort of flanker, just like that. Okay, so quite a lot of plastic. This is just your weapons, which is huge. It's a total lump of everything. This is where it sort of makes sense. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say, but Phil, I've got these weapon sets I've been buying Hobby Boss and Trumpeter for years. Every time they release a kit, they just release everything with it. It's generic. True, but this is probably one of the only aircraft where it may be that point where you are going to need some certain weapons for this specific type. So obviously what we've got down here is the larger guided bomb units, the GBUs. We've got the different types of them down in here. I say I'm not a Russian expert up on them and all the rest of it, but we've got various different pylons and systems down on here. And it would be nothing more annoying that you've seen perhaps the box art. We've got these long range missiles down the bottom here. You know, and you're thinking, oh, I'd like to do it like that, and then you find out it's an aftermarket, and perhaps you haven't got another weapons fit. So in some ways, I always like to look on the positive side with every kit. It's 107 quid. You've probably got 30 quid worth here of actually, you know, weapons, just weapons and pylons and Mias and Deers. Yeah, okay, if you're a hardcore modeler, you've probably got them all anyway, but if you're not, then you're going to need them. So you're going to have to go out and spend another 30 quid on them. So in some ways, yes, you are aware of it, but that is all just weapons. So you've actually got, in the great scheme of this, if we do a little bit of a side-by-side, weapons and versus, I know we've got bags in here as well, so that's slightly off. Okay, kit. So we've got as much plastic as in kit as we have weapons. So that's where your 107 quid has gone, everybody, because technically it's double the cost of it. Again, this is going to be one of those debates I think that's going to run and run and run, because there's no right and wrong answer for it. If you haven't got them and you're not sure what you're doing, it's nice to have it, because you've got a kit here with everything in, and your spares box is going to be bulging, let's face it, for the next 10 years with all of this stuff that you don't fit onto it. But, you know, it's that thing. I think, honestly, I'd rather have it and then not, because otherwise you've got to go out and get another one. So if you aren't new to the hobby, you're doing it, perhaps you don't do Russian, you fancy doing this jet, you're not going to have any of these. So in some ways, I can actually now see for the first time reviewing it and going through it, where we're going with it. That's probably what it is. It's the cost of all of this weapon stuff. So I think it's going to be one of those things, right or wrong, you're going to be stuck with it. If you want this particular bird, this is what you're going to do. Okay, disclaimer time. There is another one coming out. Kitty Hawk are going to be releasing one very, very soon. I'll be honest with you, I've never been that impressed with Kitty Hawk in the past. Just their moulding, the way they go together and everything else. I don't think it was going to be as nice as this, but I'm hoping it is. Perhaps they're going to drop us a dream kit that's going to be lovely. A little bit cheaper would be handy, but are they going to come with all the weapons and everything in the bag? We don't know yet. Until we actually get our hands on that kit, we're not sure how it's going to go. But I can honestly say, now I have reviewed this, I can say to you, hand on my heart, it is an Su-34. It looks like an Su-34. This nose, I know, you know, I listened to the forums. It was impossible to get away with it, because let's face it, everyone slagged this thing off before it even got anywhere near release. But this nose, I don't know. I am not a flanker, you know, sorry, fullback aficionado. It doesn't look right. I can honestly say that. But when it's all painted and done, and you've got the shape of the cockpit on there as well, unless you are really a rivet counter, I don't think you're going to know. Personally, I have heard the rumour that there is going to be a chop replacement that another company is doing for it yet, and that so you'll just literally cut it off at the panel line, and you can just then reattach a new one onto it. If they do, it'll be a nice touch and a very simple, easy fix. But I don't know, it looks like one to me. It just looks a little bit beakified. It looks like a duck's beak rather than the sort of fullbacks one. But as I said, I am by no means an expert. But to me, it looks like a fullback, and that's all that matters. So really, that's what you can do. If you want to change it, upgrade it, put the bits in, scratch build it, then knock yourself out. But for me, it looks like a fullback. So generally, after doing this now, reviewing it, 107 quid, before I reviewed it, was a lot of money, totally over the top, but now we're looking at how much weapons we've got for it. Actually, it's not too bad.